A clerk who took a robber's gun told me she believes he's behind several other robberies.
Today marks the 3-year anniversary of one of the most historic tornado outbreaks in the Bluegrass State.
It's another winter storm blasting the Bluegrass State over the next couple of days. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, tracking the potential for heavy rain, thunder and lightning to snow and sleet.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 5.
Good afternoon. From heavy rain to heavy snow, a week of wild weather is about to begin across Kentucky.
Yeah, we can't seem to shake this active pattern that we've been in. We could go from flooding to freezing in just a matter of hours. We begin with WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, who is tracking it all on the First Alert Defender.
A lot of precipitation on the way over the next couple of days. That will be in the form of some heavy rain, maybe even a little thunder and lightning, snow, sleet. You got it all coming your way over the next 3 days throughout central and eastern Kentucky. And because we have a saturated ground from all the recent snow and rain, we have a flood watch that is out for all of central and eastern Kentucky during this time for the potential for some high water issues to develop with that saturated soil. It won't take a whole lot to cause some decent rises on area rivers and especially those creeks in the coming days. So that flood watch is in effect. It's very rare that you have a flood watch and a winter storm watch in effect at the same time, but that is the setup that we are facing as the first wave of precipitation comes in the form of heavy rain. That'll likely switch over to a period of sleet and snow later Wednesday and especially Wednesday night into Thursday morning. Nothing on Live First Alert Defender as of right now, though I'll broaden out the view. Look at the cloud cover to show you or give you some indication on how big of a storm system this is. It goes from the Great Lakes to the Gulf of Mexico, back into the desert Southwest. Arctic air diving into this. That is going to be a healthy storm system that is coming together. So your daily breakdown, high impact winter storm on the way, widespread heavy rain leading to a Wednesday flood threat, and that will be followed by the potential for significant snow and sleet accumulations late Wednesday into Wednesday night. So a multifaceted storm system, to say the least.
A lot in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of those periods that you got to keep an eye on, each and every one of those threats over the next 3 days.
So thinking about all that, 3 years ago today, can you believe it was one of the most devastating severe weather outbreaks in Kentucky history? 18 tornadoes touched down across the state, killing 24 people, more than 200 injured. West Liberty was one of those hardest hit communities. WKYT's Mike Linden returned to Morgan County today to talk about lessons learned 3 years later.
Today marks the 3-year anniversary of one of the most historic and deadly tornado outbreaks in the Bluegrass State, including an EF3 tornado that destroyed an elementary school in West Liberty. Just after 5:30 on March 2nd, 2012, an EF3 tornado touched down in Menifee County for the first time in county history. The 1-mile-wide column of violently rotating air eventually made its way into Morgan County just before 6 that night. The tornado destroyed parts of downtown West Liberty and West Liberty Elementary School as winds reached approximately 140 miles per hour. 6 people died in Morgan County. West Liberty Elementary School Principal Vicki Oldfield says she learned a valuable lesson that day.
Take weather forecasts seriously. Be prepared when they say something's coming. Don't think, well, it always misses us, because it might not always miss you.
18 total tornadoes touched down that day, leaving 24 people dead and more than 200 people injured across the state. In West Liberty, Mike Linden, WKYT.
Well, it was quite a day. Now, nearly 1 hour after that tornado hit West Liberty, another EF3 tornado with winds at 160 miles per hour touched down in Magoffin County. This was the first recorded EF3 tornado in Magoffin County history. Well, parts of southern Kentucky were also hit hard in the tornado outbreak. 6 people died after an EF2 tornado hit near East Bernstadt in Laurel County. On WKYT News at 5:30, you'll hear from first responders that day that remember that night as they prepare for the next time.
We now have a better look at a man wanted in a violent robbery. Lexington police just released this photo of Darnell Thomas Jr. Police say he held up the tobacco zone on North Broadway Friday night. The clerk told us Thomas might have been injured after she managed to get his gun. The dramatic incident was caught on tape. As WKYT's Victor Puente tells us in this Crime Tracker report, police now want to know if Thomas is behind 15 other recent robberies in town.
Lexington police say they've identified one of the men who tried to rob a tobacco store Friday night. The clerk who fought those men off says she believes they're behind other robberies police are investigating. It was around 7 o'clock on February 27th when two men walked into the tobacco zone on North Broadway as they were closing for the evening. One had a gun and demanded cash. As he was trying to get that money out of the drawer, he put his gun down, and that's when the clerk picked it up, pointed it at him. He rushed her, and the two began to fight over the gun.
During the course of the struggle, there were several shots fired, and it's likely that one of the two people that was involved in the incident was shot.
The two men ran from the store. Lexington police say 30-year-old Darnell Thomas Jr. was one of them. They put out a warrant for his arrest. In the past few months, 15 other Lexington businesses have been held up at gunpoint. Police say it's too early to tell if Thomas was involved in those, but the clerk who fought off that robber thinks he is.
I actually watched and saw a couple pictures from the other robberies. The same gun. It was the same gun that the police got, so I believe it's the same guy.
Since it's possible one of those robbers was shot during that fight, Lexington police have alerted hospitals in the city as well as regional hospitals to notify them if someone seeks treatment for a gunshot wound. In Lexington, Victor Puente, WKYT.
The clerk says Darnell Thomas Jr. had been in her family's business before as a customer.
There was extra security today at schools in Madison County after the superintendent received a threatening email. Specific details of the threat were not released, but the superintendent says it involves students and staff at East Jessamine High School. Extra police were at all schools in the district today.
Officers are inside patrolling the hallways in the front office areas as they come in, also outside in the parking lots.
Investigators say they are trying to trace the IP address from the email to find the person who wrote the threat. The superintendent says students who stayed home today because of the threat will receive an excused absence.
In our county by county coverage at 5, we're tracking stories in Powell and Madison counties. We begin in Powell County, where some people have been without water for more than a week. The Stanton mayor tells us there are still so many leaks they can't pump enough water to keep up. Most of the problems are in the rural areas. Crews from Kentucky Rural Water are expected to arrive in Powell County to help with repairs. The county is still distributing bottled water to those who need it. In Madison County, a man faces charges for passing counterfeit money. 27-year-old Michael Cornett of Irvin is charged with forgery. Police say Cornett used a fake $50 bill at Discount Tobacco on Main Street in Richmond last month. Police say Cornett was already in jail on other charges when he was arrested for forgery.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he is not disrespecting President Obama by addressing a joint session of Congress, but insists he will not keep quiet about U.S. negotiations with Iran. The Israeli leader's scheduled appearance on Capitol Hill is adding to tension between the White House and Israel over a possible Iran nuclear deal. Craig Boswell is in Washington with more.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the U.S. and Israel agree Iran should never obtain nuclear weapons.
But we disagree on the best way to prevent Iran from developing those weapons.
Those disagreements are on display in Washington as the Israeli leader speaks out about U.S.-led negotiations with Iran.
Iran vows to annihilate Israel. If it develops nuclear weapons, it would have the means to achieve that goal. We must not let that happen.
Netanyahu says he will talk more about the threat of a nuclear Iran when he addresses Congress Tuesday. There are reports he could share some details of the ongoing negotiations, and that has the White House concerned.
The release of that information would betray the trust between our allies, and it certainly is inconsistent with the behavior of trusted allies.
House Speaker John Boehner did not coordinate the Netanyahu invitation with the White House, and the administration has criticized the timing and breach of protocol, but it's reaffirming its commitment to Israel.
The bond between the United States and Israel is still a national commitment. It should never be a partisan matter.
The administration says President Obama is not meeting with Netanyahu because his trip is too close to the upcoming Israeli elections. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
The Secretary of State John Kerry repeated the warning that public discussions of nuclear talks with Iran make it a deal more difficult. Kerry is beginning 3 days of talks in Geneva. Undefeated Kentucky returning to action tomorrow night at Georgia.
It's the Wildcats' last road game of the regular season, and it could be one of the biggest hurdles in the Cats' pursuit of perfection. WKYT's Rob Bromley is here with today's Big Blue coverage. Rob?
Well, the final week of the regular season is here, and the Cats will try to make it 30 straight without a loss tomorrow night at Georgia. The pursuit of perfection continued over the weekend with the Cats hammering Arkansas, 84-67. Cal has said it before, he said it again today. He's not talking with his players about being undefeated.
Other than I'm not worried about it, and if we get dinged, I'm fine. Other than that, no. I mean, it doesn't have any bearing on what we're doing. If guys get better, if we worry and focus on individual players' improvement, if we keep focused on them and they keep focusing on each other, all the other stuff happens. And it's all day to day here.
Calipari expecting a tough game down in Athens. Kentucky won the previous meeting in Rupp Arena by 11 back on February 3rd. Late tip-off, 9 o'clock tomorrow night in Athens. Coverage on ESPN. Jennifer?
Thanks, Rob. The Cats' final game of the regular season is Saturday at home against Florida. Walk-ons Todd Lanter, Sam Malone, and Brian Long will all be honored during Senior Day festivities before the game.
Follow WKYT online at WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
History is about to be made in Boston. The city is just 3.7 inches away from setting the record for the snowiest winter in history. So far this season, there has been 103.9 inches of snow. The record from 20 years ago is 107.6 inches. Snowfall is in the forecast for Boston tomorrow night and on Wednesday. I just cannot even imagine that much snow.
They're used to it, I guess.
Yeah, well, with more winter weather moving our way, Lexington firefighters are working hard to prepare for many scenarios they could face in a winter storm.
WKYT's Rebecca Smith caught up with firefighters at Jacobson Park today, where training took them out on the ice.
It's a situation no one ever wants to be in, clamoring for safety, stuck in ice water up to their neck. But it's the exact scenario the Lexington Fire Department is training for. We even got in on the action. All we had to do was suit up, walk across the ice, and jump in.
At this point, they're going to try to rope me out. They can either pull me up and over the ice. They can also come up from behind me and pull me out that way. But it's very important to always roll when you're on the ice, because obviously if you stand up on this ice, it's very hard to walk across.
The suit kept me pretty well insulated in the water, but without it, no one can last long in that water.
The water today is probably about 34 to 36 degrees under the insulation of the ice. The ice itself is, of course, 32 or less, but you only have minutes if you're in that ice.
In Lexington, Rebecca Smith, WKYT.
While ice rescues are rare, the fire department says they have been called to several in the past few years in Lexington to assist in rescues of people and dogs.
It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. A new study shows pediatricians are facing more pressure from parents to delay or space out vaccinations. And as Terry Okita reports, more doctors are agreeing to do so, even though they are concerned about the risk.
Alana Sands wants her 15-month-old son Cruz vaccinated, just not the number of shots recommended for his young age.
My concern is that their body can't handle the chemicals that are in the vaccination.
A national survey from Children's Hospital Colorado shows 93% of pediatricians are getting at least one request a month to spread out or postpone vaccinations for patients under 2.
Although they're very conflicted, almost all of them felt this was the wrong thing to do.
This study was done in 2012, before the current measles outbreak. Pediatricians like Dr. Peter Waldstein say they agree to delays in order to build trust with parents.
I'd rather see them, do it a month later than not do it at all.
Researchers found parents are concerned about short and long-term complications, and that some continue to worry about autism, even though studies show there's no link.
A lot of young parents who choose not to vaccinate, they're going to see the repercussions of not vaccinating by all these diseases that were eradicated resurfacing.
Researchers recommend conversations about immunization start early in pregnancy, so parents are well prepared. Terry Okita for CBS News, Los Angeles.
The authors of the study also found the medical community needs to find more effective ways to counter misinformation about vaccines. The findings are published in Pediatrics. Well, here's something you might experience but not even know much about. There's a phenomenon in the sleep world called social jet lag. It induces a jet lag feeling when we sleep in on the weekend, then try to get back to our work schedule on Mondays. Studies have linked social jet lag to an increased risk of health issues like obesity and depression. The doctor says your best defense against the condition is a consistent sleep schedule.
For a lot of people who work during the week and then they delay bedtime and they sleep late on the weekends and then they try to go back to their normal work schedule Sunday night and they have difficulty falling asleep. So notoriously Sunday is always the night that most people will have more difficulty falling asleep.
By the way, this is National Sleep Awareness Week. It ends with the start of daylight savings time this weekend. Remember to spring forward Sunday, March 8th. For more health, education, and consumer news, just go to WKYT.com and click on Better Living.